Hello. Due to spring holidays, it happens that I ran out of samples, so I dig into my big pile of headphones and other gear, and I found the model that passed by my reviews, and it's NF2u NF2u. It was released like more than 2 years ago, and it gathered some attention, but not huge. But anyway, I decided that even 2 years later is still better than never, first of all. But also I decided to test them and to find out how did this model aged. Because it's a really interesting aspect, like many popular models gathered tons of attention, great hype, and in year or two they considered like outdated, but actually they play sound well, but hype train passed by that station and no one pays attention to that model, and sometimes manufacturers have to release some updated versions or some newer versions instead of just selling that stuff that is just popular. Anyway, not so far ago I reviewed the NF2u NM2 Plus that appeared to be a pretty good model, so I thought that NF2u will still be interesting. It's still available in some shops, probably who have some stocks, and price is slightly above $200, so let's have a closer look. Package is traditionally good for the NF2u, it's pretty big, looks stylish. On the side there is information that it's two balanced armature IEM, brass nickel plating sound tube, medical grade UV resin shell, so lot of interesting details. Here are technical specifications. Net weight 330 grams, but probably it's gross weight because 330 milligrams in-ear monitors would be too heavy. Two nose balanced armatures with two-way crossover, like not super impressive by modern scale, but I'm pretty sure that even with single armature it's possible to create a good sound. And 5N silver coated oxygen free copper, distortion less than 1%, 32 ohms of impedance, 107 decibels per milliwatt sensitivity, so nice good figures. Let's try to unpack them and see what we'll get here. NF2u shows really great approach to the design of package. You see that it's kind of CD player, even with kind of controls here. I really like such things. They are simple to implement, but at the same time they look fancy and shows that company paid attention to product design. Under earphones we will get the cable, some kind of manuals, who needs them, accessories, and even headphones case. So let me put this box aside. Actually nice case, pretty interesting. Also kind of its own design that doesn't remind anything else. So earpieces themselves, and here we'll probably get tips. What other accessories could be here? Airplane adapter, cleaning brush, but usually it's tips. So yeah, you can see cleaning brush and two set of tips. I'm pure genius, and there are two tips, balanced and bass ear tips. So nice. Here are earpieces themselves. Actually pretty nice in terms of design, a good combination of colors. Let me zoom in a little bit. Done in a nice ergonomic shape, so will fit nicely into vast majority of ears without any problems. Good combination of black and pale red, so kind of the one of that combinations that always looks stylish. Metal spouts, well extended, slightly above average, and sound isolation is also above average, so it will be good plus on noisy street or in the public transport. Lip for holding the tips, protective grill, all that stuff are done nicely. So, level of craftsmanship is pretty nice. That L and R buttons looks a bit too big, but still doesn't spoil the overall design. A bit gathering fingerprints, but still looks pretty nice. And cable is made replaceable. Here used that QDC connectors that are popular nowadays, thanks to companies that use it, and I think it's a nice idea. So here is right connector for the right earpiece. Fits nicely, holds okay, and actually here it is. Cable looks a bit simple. Nowadays we used to more audiophilic looking wires, but still it's a pretty decent cable with slightly above average softness, not super soft but on the softer side. Microphonic effect is low, and thanks to this ear hooks it's even reduced even further, so no problems with that. It goes to the splitter, pretty big splitter here, and after splitter goes down directly to the metal jack. So as you can see, in terms of presentation, accessory set and design, model looks fancy. And of course about the sound, I'll try to be more brief than usual, because this model is anyway a bit outdated, and I don't think that someone will consider it, but anyway, let's talk about the sound, because it's the main goal of this review. I gave them 30 hours of burn-in, there were no big changes in sound, actually no changes in sound at all, because it's balanced armatures, and pure balanced armatures rarely require a burn-in. And in sound, actually NF audio implemented few good things with one drawback, at least at my point of view. So let's have player on the table to show examples, and let's talk about sound step by step. So bass is nice, it's typical good balanced armature low frequencies, fast, tight, impactful with slight pleasant accent, and with nice depth. Of course, it's not dynamic drivers in terms of impact and weight, but still pretty nice and pleasant low frequencies with good depth, not perfect but a good. Of course, it suits more for the acoustic instruments, for the brass, for the wood, for strings, for all that stuff with a lot of overtones, but with electronic music they also sound pretty pleasant and pretty nice, at least, you know, for my to my ears. It's not bass head model, but it's also not a bass shy. They don't sound dry, they don't sound too monitoring in the low frequencies domain. But as an example, of course, I will use something like this. It's Casey Abrams, Cougartown, nice acoustic bass, and these earphones render it nicely with good body and nice textures. Mids are also fairly balanced, despite being balanced armatures, they not focused on the micro contrast, they don't try to be super nitpicking, they don't try to get the every single nuance and throw to you. So basically mids are leaning towards a bit more weighty representation. Resolution is normal, but not what we can expect from the balanced armatures, but at the same time it's normal, so it's not bad, definitely. Good resolution, nice weight, good body for the vocals and instruments, and giving a nice sense of realism. Not super nitpicking in terms of material. Imaginary stage is slightly above average both in width and in depth, so nice well balanced mids for those who don't need that balanced armature micro detalization focus. Actually, you know, they sound sounds closer to the typical dynamic driver models. And as an example, I've got Igorrr. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name of this track, ieuD. So I think that this artist doesn't need any introduction or description. You've heard about it, about this project. Crazy mix of everything, starting with electronic music and ending with opera and some black metal parts. Absolutely crazy mix of everything, and that's why everyone likes it. So it requires nice resolution, and this model gives that, and at the same time, you know, this track doesn't need that focus on the micro details, because if it's present, it sounds sometimes too piercing. So pretty good match for this track. And the treble is the only drawback of this model, because it has a boost in the lower treble or and upper mids area, and then roll back. So treble extension is slightly below average, meaning a bit of lacking overtones, really simplified layering, and at the same time lower part of treble can be a bit too sharp for the treble sensitive persons. But I'm not treble sensitive, so for me it's okay, and it's typical balanced armature treble with slight focus on the fast attacks and decays, and nice resolution and clean sounding. And as an example, so yep, Hot House by the Quintet, JZ Macy Hall, and this track requires good treble performance because a lot of live instruments with a lot of overtones, and this model lacks that a little bit. But at the same time, basic tones they play pretty nicely. I won't be doing comparisons this time, because this model is already a bit outdated, so I've just to answer my questions that I raised at the beginning of this video: how do they age? And you know, probably they aged okay. Now in this price segment there are better models. C-Audio, for example, do a good job, and actually NF2u, for example NM2 Plus and other models, deliver better price to quality ratio, mainly because modern models offers better treble representation, more complicated setup sometimes, and so on. But if I'd bought this model in 2019, and if I'd like that sound, then, you know, it's just okay to stick with it, because they didn't outdate, they are not outdated like, for example, it happens in the smartphones world, when in 2 years this model is totally unusable, or maybe in 3 years. So this model still delivers a nice value. Maybe price could be cut a little bit, but you know, if NF2u sold them, for example, for about $130, they could still be a nice, interesting offer for those who like such signature. So my idea here is that earphones are not getting outdated that fast, and good models ages really well. So thank you for listening, and if you get to this moment, just write what model of earphones you want to buy, like in 2018 or 2019, so like 2-3 years ago. What was your dream model that you wanted to get, and did you get it? Thank you for your attention, and have a great day.